There's a simple idea that life gets better every single day, and that there's a little bit of progress that you make every single day. And over the lifetime that you're making all of these little tiny steps, that eventually you'll reach some sort of pinnacle. And this pinnacle, you're supposed to get rewards and all of these kind of things. And depending on what part of your life you're thinking about, maybe it is retirement, maybe it is getting a family, maybe it's any number of different things. But there's a simple idea of progress that you're making. I'm going to tell you that's not exactly how life works. In fact, this idea of progress is a bit of a fiction that we've dreamt up in the last few hundred years since what's called the Enlightenment, fancy word. But basically, before this, we really didn't sort of think about progress as much. There was ideas of progress, but not so much, and it wasn't such a deep ingrained part of what we are actually doing in life. Now, a different way to think about what's going on in your life, so you don't feel like you have to make progress every single day. That's part of the problem, is that you feel every single day that you need to do something and that there has to be an unlimited amount of progress for you to make this pinnacle thing, whatever that is. But a different way to view this is to think about life in terms of a longer term perspective and know that instead of I am going to do everything I possibly can, think about life as today, I'm going to do the least I possibly can. I know that sounds really strange, but one of the problems when you're thinking about I'm going to make all of this progress all of the time and it's going to keep building and building and building, it's very hard to do that. And we often, unless you're a very special person, most of us actually can't do that, right? What ends up happening is that there's days where things are going well and days where things are not necessarily going as well. And those days where things don't go as well, you kind of beat yourself up and you get frustrated with what's actually going on. So, in my experience, what you really need to start thinking about is thinking of the ebbs and flows of life. And so the only way that you can get back up and feel okay with yourself every single day is to realize that the worst that you'll ever do are those days where you just don't feel like it. And so if that's the case, the bottom that you might be thinking about of actually doing is getting up and doing just a couple of little tiny things. And if you do those couple of little tiny things, you're doing okay. That means you are able to start your day and get going. Now, there's a famous video that you probably have seen by, I think it was a general in one of the, in the US Army, where he's giving a speech about making his bed every day. And that's the basic idea, is as long as you are doing something and you're getting up and you're trying every single day, that's all that really matters. Because it's the act of that trying that turns into things eventually. And there's often a lot of things that you reach along the way that just don't work out in the way that you think about. And there's often a lot of things that are not due to you where progress is being made. And you often think about this. I was thinking about this morning, is that this idea of museums, today it seems like a commonplace thing, right? There's museums in every single dinky little town. But if you go back many years, people did not think about museums. They didn't think about travel in the way that we think about today. It wasn't sort of this luxurious thing that we do. It wasn't doing these things where we go from place to place and we see the world and we see all of these kind of things. That is a modern day phenomenon that's only existed in even the last 50 years. Even in the last 40 years. A lot of people did not travel. A lot of people didn't go to museums and do all those kind of things that you're thinking about. And what's happening is that the economy, the world around us is shifting dramatically. And it's shifting so that it's embracing some of this excess wealth that we actually have, or we can go visit things or see things that just, we really didn't sort of think about before. And as countries and all of that come online, that sort of shifts. The economy shifts just a little bit from working really, really hard all of the time to doing things like going to museums and all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you were thinking of progress in the sense that you are constantly making these steps, if you look at museums and you look at all of this kind of stuff that goes on around us, this sort of cultural change that goes on, you had nothing to do with it. In fact, you probably have no control over whether that there is a lot of museums around or not, or the fact that you actually get to do all of these kind of things. It's not really because of you. The fact that I live in in a place where I'm comfortable. I don't have to worry about starving every day, which was a thing 100 years ago. All of this has nothing to do with me per se. All of this was just growing up in the era that I actually grew up in. I had a little bit more excess cash sitting around. The economy was just doing that much better. Now, what I want you to think about is, how do you keep going? How do you take those steps every single day? Now, this turns out to be a really important problem for people that are doing sciencey stuff, doing research, because it's very hard to measure progress, and it's very difficult to do this repeatedly every single day. You kind of lose yourself a lot of times. And so the expectation is you're kind of growing, and there's always this pinnacle that you reach, which people don't really understand. But if that's the case, if you're trying to do this, what I always think about, okay, so I'm not going to be able to write as much as I would like to write, or I'm not going to be able to do as much as I would like to do. But today's going to be the day where I just take one little tiny step. And that one little tiny step is going to get me someplace. Probably will not make a lot of progress. I probably will have to delete everything and get rid of everything and get back up and do it again tomorrow. So instead of thinking about progress that I'm actually making, I think about, can this be the day where I get up and I write a little bit? Can this be the day where I feel good about myself every single day? And if that's the case, if I could feel good about myself today, then that means it was actually a really good day. If I get to see my family, talk to friends, and do the sort of basic things that we think about, or get to have a little bit of a meal at one point, it's a good day. And if I could just do that every single day, that's fantastic. That's what progress actually is realizing that, yeah, you know what? I'm not telling you not to do a bunch of work and do all of that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, look at what you're actually doing, and doing just a little bit. That's all that matters. And every single day you do just a little bit until something actually happens. That's often the way that it works. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.